Okay, good day, dear students. As we have discussed and tackled the previous discussions last synchronous session, we defined the sustainable tourism, and then we have also um, discussed its benefits to the attractions, and its benefits to the local communities, and of course, the destination. Part of the objective is to define the 17 sustainable development goals and interrelate it to tourism activities or tourism industry as a whole. So we have 17 sustainable development goals, although there are only three sustainable development goals that are being anchored by the World Tourism Organization. But we have to discuss and relate each of these sustainable development goals towards tourism activities. Since tourism nowadays focuses on sustainability, and therefore it could also answer and respond to these 17 sustainable development goals. So let's start with sustainable development goal number one. Sustainable development goal number one is no poverty. Tourism has been a key driver for economic performance, considering its multiplier effects to different industries, different sectors, and human resources. A destination could help a struggling or problematic community by employing these people and engaging them in um, addressing the tourist needs while including these communities into the planning and development of the destination. Um, Also, including them into the development of products and tourism services. With tourism, it might not alleviate poverty in one snap, but um, it does its work by slowly eradicating or slowly alleviating poverty. So it's like slowly but surely. Okay, so that's for um, poverty, SDG number one, no poverty. SDG number two is no hunger. It states here that um, if tourism is to contribute to the achievement of SDG number two, that is to end hunger, it is necessary to think local, serving not only the needs of visitors, but of course to the local people. An integrated, holistic approach to tourism centered on food allows the local farmers to grow nutritious food using responsible farming. That could also help not only their families but also to earn an income by selling products to tourism companies or tourism enterprises. Next development goal is SDG 3, good health and well being. In order to encourage good health and well being for all, tourism needs a holistic, cross sectoral, and people centered policy that takes into account the health and welfare of local people as well as visitors, and of course, places a heavy emphasis on equality in order to ensure that local people are not structurally disadvantaged. The government and the tourism industry need to objectively examine health risks and establish appropriate prevention strategies at the destination. They also need to ensure that jobs produced in tourism comply with the labor rules, safety standards, and pay the decent salaries that allow workers to afford their health care and medical bills. Okay? Tourism has a strong ability to promote healthier lives and well being for both visitors and local populations. If the risks involved are minimized successfully, then we could achieve prevention of health risks. To make a meaningful contribution to Target 3 to ensure healthy lives, and promote well-being, tourism income and its taxes must be spent on healthcare services. Healthcare services of high quality, available, and affordable to everyone. Next is SDG 4, quality education. Ensure inclusive and um, equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The ability for tourism to be the main medium for job growth, economic regeneration, and sustainable development is a well founded statement. However, the ability of tourism to advance education and improve human resources among local communities remains widely underestimated by states, policymakers, decision makers, and even the international development agencies. Its production is mostly left to the initiative of the private sector, resulting in a naive race to create housing establishments. Master plans for tourism growth typically concentrate on the development of land rather than improvement of human resources needed to make the industry viable. Therefore, tourism industry must use tourism income and monetary contribution in building um, human resource, such as a human resource facility, such as school buildings and other educational resources and materials. SDG 5, um, gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. The 2030 or the Sustainable Development Goal Target 2030 plan is a tool to reconsider sustainable growth at social, economic, and environmental level or aspects. If there's no gender equity and women liberation, there will be no sustainable growth. The work of gender and tourism exclusively in the tourism related SDGs like number 8, 12, and 14 will lead to a decline in initiatives aimed at consolidating the sustainable growth of tourism. It is well established that tourism has an influence beyond job development, especially in terms of the environmental, social, and political effects it created. Moreover, the study of jobs produces chain of numerous economic, poverty, political, and social health variables that have varying impacts on men and women, which must be um, taken account if tourism is to lead to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality. SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Tourism will play a vital role in providing access to water and safety, as well as health and sanitation for both. Efficient usage of water in tourism industry, along with adequate protection controls, wastewater treatment, um, pollution prevention, and technology quality will be essential to safeguarding our most precious resource. This rather idealistic declaration by the World Tourism Organization, um, it highlights what could be the case. However, in many regions, visitors directly add to water shortages and inequity by the appropriation of municipal water resource, overexploitation, um, lowering of groundwater levels, and pollution of the fresh water by salt water and waste. This leads to the tension and anger among the local communities or the host community, which in turn further harms to the economy of the place visited. Therefore, tourism must create, or the local government unit must create a master plan on how to utilize the usage of water. Next is SDG 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Tourism has implemented more renewable energy practices, such as um, putting solar panels in rural villages, um, providing tourism services. There are also tourism destinations that highlight their energy efficient ways, such as the windmills or turbines in Ilocos Norte and the Guimaras Island. There's also a solar panel center in Balamban, Cebu, and in Olango Island in Lapu-Lapu. It's an adjacent island to Lapu-Lapu. We also have a geothermal site in Tungunan, Ormoc City, Leyte, and a geothermal site also in Valencia, Negros Island. So that's SDG number 7. SDG 8 is the decent work and economic growth. Promotes sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Since tourism is a service driven sector, it should be noted that it has job opportunities. Tourism, therefore, requires manpower or labor force, and it continually raises the hope of every nation, especially the tiger economy or the third world countries, in which they need decent jobs. In tourism, it encourages and support inclusive jobs for all. In a single society that can be given the utmost consideration when it comes to the acquisition of tourism career. Next is SDG 9. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Infrastructure, industrialization, and creativity, resilient and sustainable infrastructure is critical in tourism context. Such infrastructure services are part of tourism potential of the destination or the city, but also to a certain degree decide the living conditions of the resident population. The planning, constructing, and preserving adequate facilities for everyone is a dynamic process and huge task. The planning, construction, and management of a new infrastructure would require medium and long term investment. However, these infrastructure will boost the economy of the destination and at the same time also helps the community by providing them long-term jobs. Next is SDG 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. Domestic tourists spend mainly on local food, transportation, and services provided by local small and medium enterprises, while foreign tourists spend more on accommodation, partly connected with the international hotel chains. That is why we have to promote our culture. So the foreign tourists would would be enticed and would be immersing themselves into our deep rooted traditions and culture, and they will also understand us, and that understanding will bridge towards equality between different cultural perspectives. That's how tourism could help reduce inequality. SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Tourism will encourage urban infrastructure and connectivity, uh, promote restoration and conserve local and natural resources, properties on which heavily relies in tourism, investment in green technology, um, example, more efficient transit, decrease air pollution, could result in smarter and greener communities for both the local community and visitor. Around half of the world's population live in urban communities. Tourism can well have beneficial impacts in the metropolitan areas and add to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG number 11. Um, for example, tourism revenues and the opportunity to draw more tourists will cause um, local authorities desire to invest in urban infrastructure. There are, on the other hand, varying threats, of course. As cities become more attractive destinations, they run the risk of suffering from mass tourism or over tourism. That would increase the challenges of the destination. It would be very hard to control with mass tourism and urban or over tourism. SDG 12 is responsible consumption and production. The tourism sector or the industry needs to adopt sustainable consumption and production, accelerating shift towards sustainability or green paradigm. Tools to monitor sustainable development impacts for tourism, including for energy, water, waste, um, biodiversity, and job creation, will result in enhanced and economic, social, and environmental outcomes. In the picture, you have seen a bamboo straw. That responsible production is can be found in the island of Siargao. They have actually used bamboo straws in their beverages. So they are also responding to the SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. And I hope that these initiatives and um, these sustainable activities could influence other islands in the Philippines. Next is climate action, SDG 13. Tourism contributes to and is affected by the climate change. Tourism stakeholders should play a leading role in the global response to climate change by reducing its carbon footprint in the transport, accommodation, um, and other sectors. Tourism can benefit from low carbon growth and could also help tackle one of the most pressing challenges of our time. Currently, the trends in aviation and cruise line industry are now gearing towards sustainable activities such as using sustainable fuels. It's no longer a contributor to the carbon footprint, but now they are really doing, or they are really observing sustainable activity, sustainable ways. Next is SDG 14, life below water. Coastal and maritime tourism or marine tourism relies on healthy marine ecosystem. Tourism development must be part of the integrated coastal zone management program for the purpose of um, conservation and protection of marine ecosystem, and serve also as a vehicle for promoting the blue economy, contributing to the sustainable use of marine resources. By the way, I've made mention on the blue economy. Blue economy is the monetary contribution or monetary income made by marine life activities. In the context of tourism, it is the activities that could be done or that is being done in the marine resources. Now, SDG 15, life on land. Wildlife or natural heritage are also the key factors why visitors um, visit the destinations. Tourism will play a vital role if it's handled sustainably in vulnerable environments, not just protecting and preserving the habitats, but um, also in raising income as an alternative source of survival for the local populations. Next is peace, justice, and strong institution, SDG 16. As tourism revolves around billions of interactions between citizens of diverse cultural backgrounds, the sector will promote multicultural and interfaith harmony and understanding, laying the framework for more prosperous communities. Tourism, which um, supports the local people, may also reinforce stability in the post-conflict societies. With the help of tourism, there will be peace among countries, reduction of terrorism and war, and it could also contribute to strong institutions and associations. The last SDG is SDG 17, partnerships for the goal. Um, Due to its cross-sectoral nature, tourism has the potential to enhance the private or public relationships and to involve various stakeholders, multinational, global, regional, or even local stakeholders, in working together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, and other objectives. Um, Economic policy and creative funding are at the forefront of the 2030 agenda. The World Tourism Organization, funded by a wide variety of sponsors, and in collaboration with other foreign agencies, civil society, and private sectors, has been um, providing technical assistance to countries across the globe for more than 40 years. The experience and the skills of the United Nations World Tourism Organization in creating sustainable, responsible, and open tourism leads to a better environment. Okay, next is the 10 principles of sustainable tourism. This will be discussed next synchronous meeting. So for now, I hope you have learned something from the discussion of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and its relation to tourism industry. Okay,